Well, hello! A product today, and would you believe it, it is another lost model finder. I know, right? Like waiting for a bus, there's none for ages and then they all come along at once. This one's from Full Speed RC, and it has the distinction of being the cheapest battery-backed lost model finder currently available. $10.99 on Full Speed's website. And if I get it out of this little package comes with a QR code for the manual. And it has in here the beeper itself, which looks like this. I better show a close up because it's very small. A little bit of shrink wrap and 3 cables. It's very similar once again in the design of the Hellgate buzzer. This is the Hellgate, this is the Full Speed. They use the same connectors, so you're looking at a ground, a 5 volt and buzzer minus. This one has got the distinction of having some setup options via this little button though, and it also does a different beeps when you turn it on to indicate the voltage it's in, which is quite useful. By pressing the buttons and doing setups, you can change how long it takes to alarm after the power is lost. So you can do it after 30 seconds, 60 seconds or 120 seconds, 2 minutes. You can also decide how often it's going to beep. So if you want to have it beep for a long period of time, you can make the beeps further apart. So it can beep every 3 seconds, every 10 seconds or every 30 seconds. So the idea of with a full charged battery, if you beep every 30 seconds it will go about 12 hours. If you beep every 3 seconds it'll do about 2 hours and 30 minutes. It kind of depends where you're flying and how far away you're going to be and what sort of dense area you might crash into. For a normal sort of field thing, we're normally finding, you know, even 500 sort of meters, if you know vaguely the direction, you can normally get it in sort of 15-20 minutes just walking around listening for the beeps. I will be putting this once again in my sort of experimental quad which gets all the changes. It's currently got in there the Vifly buzzer, which works in the same way but is significantly bigger, and I've only had it installed there for a day because needs must. I need to take that out again and put this back in. I mean, usefully, because it's the same wiring, I only have to wire one end of it. It's already onto the flight controller. But I'm going to go and install this now, and we'll see what happens when it's installed and exactly how it works. Okay, so we're all wired in, and you'll notice I've got this hanging out the back at the moment, and that's mainly so I can get to this little button to show how the modes work. Depending on the style of your quad, of course, you won't have a problem, but I think for using this on the field I might just put a bit of Velcro on this so I can actually get to this button just in case I need it. Now this is soldered in, so it's sort of less movable around. Now when I did the Vifly, people mentioned about, well, you could always just put that extra connector in, and it's kind of the same in here. You could use like a servo extension cable if you wanted to, and so you can plug this in and out. It's a bit a little bit more faff, but it's not too bad. Anyway, let's plug this in first, and the significant to note, because obviously Betaflight powers up and does all its beep things as well, but this actually tells you what the battery is charged to. So it should do a long beep, and then if it does one short beep, it means that the battery voltage in the beeper is less than 3.7 volts. 2 beeps means this is 2 short beeps, it means it's less than 4, and 3 short beeps means it's higher than 4. So you get a good impression of how much that's charged, which is actually quite handy. So let's plug that in now and we'll see what happens. So that was 1 long beep and 3 short beeps, which means that is over 4 volts. So that's nicely charged and will last a long time. Now, as before, it works exactly the same as a normal Betaflight buffer. And as before, it still has telemetry issues where I go too close. So changing modes, makes a little beep. Go into beeper mode, will make it beep. So that's all normal. Now, as I mentioned before, we've also got some setup modes in this by using this little button. And to get into setup mode, what you have to do is hold this button down for about 5 seconds to get into the first menu. So, and what you get is like a long beep and then a short beep to say it's in level 1 menu. So I'm holding it in now. So there's my long beep and short beep. This sets the amount of time before the alarm. So it should be set for 30 seconds. If I press it again, that 2 short beeps change it to 60 seconds, press it again, those 3 short beeps will change it to 120 seconds. So I'm going to change it back to 30 seconds. And then what I'm going to do is hold the button again for another 5 seconds. And when I release it, it should do 1 long beep and 2 short beeps to say it's in the next level menu. 1 long beep, 2 short beeps. Now this one is the beep rate. At the moment it should be set to it beeps every 3 seconds, and that will last about 2 hours 30 minutes on full voltage. If I press it again, 2 short beeps, that means it beeps every 10 seconds, which will go about 5 hours and 30 minutes of beeping. And press it once more. The 3 beeps, it only beeps every 30 seconds, but that will do about 12 hours. So I'm going to go back to number 1, and then I'm going to hold it again for 5 seconds. And this time we should get 3 short beeps and 1 long beep. And that means it's saved our options. Now, turning the beeper off is kind of weird. You've got 2 options to do it. The first one is you can press this button about once a second 3 times, and it should give you a rapid beep to say it's disabled. Let's try that now. 2, 3. So there's my rapid beep. It's now disabled, and I can unplug the battery. Now, the other way of doing it, which I don't like quite so much because it's a bit of a strange count, is if I unplug the battery, it will basically wait 30 seconds beep. It doesn't give you any indications that it's sort of on a countdown. But to disable that by plugging the battery back in, you have to plug it in for about 8 to 10 seconds, which is really quite a funny amount of time to count. But let's give it a go now. And it'll do the same thing. As when I plug it in for 8 to 10 seconds, unplug it, it should give that rapid beep. But it's tricky counting in your head. So it's alarmed at the moment and it would go off. So what I'm going to do is plug in. Try counting to 9 and unplug. Yeah, you got it. So that is a little bit tricky to get, and I don't particularly like it. I much prefer it's like plug in and have like between 1 and 5 seconds to unplug, because between 8 and 10 seconds is a bit of a funny count, and you have to like concentrate on it a bit more. So for me, I'd prefer to have the button there. So when the alarm actually goes off, you can do the pressing the button method, or you can do the plugging in and unplugging thing, but it's a bit of a strange count. So let's actually see or hear the alarm going off, and I've got my decibel meter thing once again on my phone that I'm starting to use with all these buzzers now, which I think is quite handy. I'll just kind of shove it to where it would normally be to give it its, you know, the same sort of distance. But let's unplug, get in there, and we'll shove the phone about there-ish. Oh, what happened there? Okay, so let's go test it at the field now. Well, hello and welcome back to the field, where it's a very windy day today, and we're here once again, because we're only here yesterday, to test another beeper, proving that, like buses, if you wait a long time, 3 come along all at once. This is the full speed RC beeper, which is installed in this quad, and it's a little bit like the Hellgate beeper in the fact that nothing's going to happen unless the battery is actually unplugged. So hence why Sophie's here, because what normally happens, I send Sophie off and she hides it and I try and find it. We've done a couple of these and we were talking on the way. I said, what can we do a bit differently, because else we talk about the same stuff. And I thought, why don't I hide the quad and Sophie go and look for it, because Sophie's never looked for a quad before. So if you want to know if it's easy to use and easy to work, then let's try and use someone who's never worked it before. So I'm going to go hide it. I'm going to go over this side of the field into the wind, because we sort of agreed that, okay, we were flying it that way, we've lost video, we've lost battery, let's go find it. Yeah, so I'm going to go hide it now, we'll see what happens. So part of the reason I'm keen to do it this way is that when we're ever doing this, Sophie's always going along saying, oh, I can hear it already, can't you hear that? And I'm thinking, okay, this is a young person's ears, but at the back of my mind I'm also thinking, is she telling me the truth, or is she just trying to wind me up and trying to tell me my ears don't work anymore? So It'd be interesting to see if she can hear it before I do, because obviously I know approximately where I've put it and she won't. So then what I'm going to do is go beyond this little fence thing into the undergrowth that I used a few beepers ago. Okay, here's a good looking hiding place. Okay, we're unplugged. Am I expecting that to beep before it beeps? I can't remember. I think it just stays completely quiet. Anyway, I'm going to chuck that in there. And Sophie is currently all the way past this little fence and off behind that row there. So let's go. Oh, it's off. So the beeper started going. I'll do a runner. Don't know if you can hear it just behind me beeping. It's not a bad sort of loudness, but we'll see exactly how it travels. There's a lot of wind around here today. Not so much next to the tree line, but out in the middle of the field. That could be a bit more challenging to hear, so let's find out. Can you hear it?
No.
Finally!
So, right now I cannot hear any beeps and it's very windy and there are lots of birds, which is a bit worrying. So, we'll see. Okay, so I think I'm going to go logically...
I'll do what you keep doing.
I'll go logically down the middle and I'll see if I can hear anything.
Well, it's like you've been listening to what I've actually been saying.
What? What do you mean?
That's what I told you to do. Have you actually listened, or did you just work this out for yourself?
No, that's what anyone would do.
Ah,
go down the middle. It's not your personal technique.
I feel I was being quite inspiring now.
Inspiring. Okay.
Teachable moment.
I'm just going to stop for a minute.
Just a verdict.
No. Shh. I hear something. Sounds like it's coming over there.
Hear what?
Yep, that way.
What? I can't hear it down.
That way. Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it.
Hang on, let me listen. Stop.
Okay.
You say you can hear it.
Okay, wait till it's... And that says over there. It's like do.
I can't hear a damn thing.
Is it meant to be do?
I can't remember.
Do.
Maybe that's just a hedgehog. There's like a buzzard up there, being very noisy.
Yep, that way.
Hang on, I did hear one there.
Yep. That was a boo. Yep, over there-ish. Yeah, it sounds like it's in that corner. Can you hear it?
I'm not that side.
Oh. Yeah. To me, it sounds like it's definitely in that corner. Oh, wow. Wow, Dad. Wow. I told you it's a do, ready? It's definitely a do.
It's not doing that.
It is.
It's a single one.
Do. Yeah, I can hear it.
That was the wind breaking the noise up.
Well, it was something.
Well, I'm going to have to eat some humble pie there, because I may have said some slightly disparaging things about suggesting Sophie may have been making up her superpowers of hearing. But what it's told me is I need to go and get my ear syringe.
Yeah, you do.
You could hear that significantly before me.
You do.
I really do. But, I mean, the main thing was, it sounded, it did its job. I could hear it from just by where the entrance to the fence was, which is just shy of 100 metres. You could hear it way further back. So, yeah, it does a really good job. And it's just like, it's under $11. So this is the cheapest of the beeper so far, and it's not the loudest, but it's certainly loud enough that if
Loud
you just
enough.
walk, I mean, you just walk the centre, you didn't even have to walk the sides.
Yeah.
You walk the centre, and if you can't find it, you walk the sides, you will get it. So impressive stuff. Anyway, we get on home. Well, what can I say? That worked really well, and Sophie wasn't lying about having super hearing, or it might just be the fact that I need my ears syringed, because my family do keep telling me I'm going deaf, to which, of course, you have to just answer pardon at all times. So there's a few things about this buzzer I really liked. I liked the fact it's got a button, and that button allowed you to go into a settings and be able to change a couple of things about how it worked. And I like the ability to press it a couple of times, 3 times, to power it off. There's certainly a few things I'm going to nitpick about, which I didn't particularly like. I like the fact on a lot of the other buzzers is when I unplug it, it gives a sort of tick, tick, tick to basically say, hey, I'm armed and I'm going to start beeping if you don't disable me. There's no indication other than that first unplugging, it goes beep, that anything's happening. That's a minor one. And the one that annoys me slightly more is how to disable it. Plugging a battery in for 8 to 10 seconds is a really weird amount. Why wouldn't you go for like 1 to 3 seconds, 1 to 5 seconds? Because the fact you have to sort of plug it in and leave it for a certain amount of time and unplug it is quite tricky. And at the field, I tried it a few times and I got it wrong a couple of times. So I was plug it in, plug it out, plug it in, and you have to wait a little bit every time. I mean, you can do it with the button if you can get to the button. It's not a problem. It's just an annoyance. As long as you've got that button available, I find that a much easier way of doing it. Also, the price is right. Now, this came from Gearbest. Thanks, Gearbest. And currently, and I don't like to give prices on Gearbest because they're kind of they randomly change a lot. But it's like $11.71, and that's free worldwide postage. So that is the cheapest battery back buzzer I think's out at the moment. And it's got a couple of nice features. It's not as loud as some of them. For example, the Wi-Fi buzzer is very loud. It's like 90 something dBs instead of 80 something. But that said, you saw that like Sophie picked it up from miles away and was able to directly go straight to it. So it works pretty well, and it's cheap enough to put in multiple quads. As I said, if you really want to, you could put something like a servo extension on multiple quads and just plug it in and out. But you always face the risk of not remembering to do it or not knowing its charge status and things like that. So if you haven't got like multiple loads of quads, if you can put something like this in each one and just have it so you don't have to think about it, you turn it on, it's a regular buzzer, it's only when the battery comes out that it does its thing. That'd be really good. So fit a buzzer of some sort. So this has been the Full Speed RC Lucky Box Beeper, supplied by Gearbest, and of course there's links down below. I hope that's been helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.